I've mentioned it over and over again, but early 2019 has become one of the biggest blocks of game releases that I can remember in recent memory. There are so many big budget games that are releasing within this 3-month window from January to March. You can even extend it to say April, May. However, there are also a lot of cool titles that are going under the radar, and I want to cover one of those games in today's video, and that is the Hong Kong Massacre. Now, some of you guys might actually know about this game because it is a pretty interesting title, and the second you look at this game, it's hard not to be captivated by the game based on its visceral visuals, great stylistic presentation, and I can go on and on about all of the positives about the Hong Kong Massacre, and I'll get to that in a little bit. But there's actually a lot to delve into with this game, even though it's been a little bit of a mystery ever since its PlayStation 4 unveiled trailer all the way back at Paris Games Week 2017. Since that trailer at PGW 2017, we've had information here and there trickle out, but kind of surprisingly, a couple days ago, seemingly out of nowhere, the Hong Kong Massacre developers put out a tweet saying we finally have a release date and a trailer for it. That tweet was posted on January 17th, and the game is releasing on January 22nd. To give you guys an idea of how much of a mystery this game has been, prior to that tweet on January 17th, their last tweet was a retweet on September 14th, 2018. So this is a game that they haven't been going on Twitter and other social media platforms and just hammering home, hey, this is the Hong Kong Massacre, look at it, look at it, look at it. That's what a lot of developers and publishers do. It's been a little bit of a hidden mystery, and to some people that might make you a little skeptical, and I can understand why. In the age of social media with YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, and all of the other various social media platforms, it's common to see developers and publishers just put out footage after footage after footage, years on end. Look at a game like Kingdom Hearts 3. No slight to Kingdom Hearts 3. I'm very excited for that game, but how many minutes of footage did we see of that game prior to its release? How many trailers have we gotten since 2013? And a game like Kingdom Hearts 3, that game is gonna sell itself. It's not like you have to do that much promotion for Kingdom Hearts freaking 3. A game like the Hong Kong Massacre, you would think that they would be showing off more footage, and there is a sizable amount of footage out there, but it doesn't seem like that the developers in Rescue Games have been going all in and really promoting this game overboard. That's kind of a good thing and a bad thing to me because I am aware about the game. I'm happy that there's a little bit of mystery surrounding it because I'm gonna check out the game just based on the footage that I've seen, but at the same time, I think this is one of the reasons that this game isn't widely known about, because if this game was heavily promoted, I think everybody would be really looking forward to it, even though it comes out a few days before the Resident Evil 2 remake. Just looking at the footage of the Hong Kong Massacre, it's hard not to be impressed by what this game is offering. Now, I mentioned a little while ago that this game was announced for the PlayStation 4 back at the Paris Games Week 2017, and a lot of you guys, if you know about the game, that was probably your first introduction to the Hong Kong Massacre, but development of this game goes well before that. There was actually a Hong Kong Massacre prototype trailer released all the way back in April of 2014, and it's kind of funny going back and looking at this prototype trailer because yes, you could see the fundamentals in place for what Hong Kong Massacre turned out to be, but visually, it's a far cry from what it is right now. It's improved dramatically, and also with the prototype trailer, with the gameplay we were seeing, it was a little bit too visceral for my taste. I mean, I'm not one to shy away from blood and gore, but this was a little overboard with the prototype trailer, and I'm actually happy that they dialed it back a little bit. I don't know why was the reasoning for them to dial it back. Not to say that they completely removed all the blood and gore. This is still a very visceral game, but go check out that prototype trailer. It was a little bit too over the top for my liking. You could still see the great gameplay and presentation there, but that gore to me was a little bit over the top. That's just a funny thing to note. Maybe that's a little bit on the basis that back when this prototype trailer was released, it was announced for a console release. It was probably being designed as a PC only game. Maybe they came to an agreement with Sony. Maybe they went to Sony, and maybe Sony looked at the game and they were like, maybe dial it back a little bit. I don't know that to be fact. That's just speculation on my part, but it is just something funny to notice. Now, if you want to find a lot of information about the Hong Kong Massacre, I think the most amount of information in one place actually comes from the PlayStation blog in a post from October 30th, 2017. And that was coming directly from Anders Folden, who is a game designer at Rescue. And by the way, Rescue is a studio based in south of Sweden, and when you look at Hong Kong Massacre, you might think, okay, yeah, a smaller studio is working on the game, but yes, this is a studio that's composed of 2 people. Only 2 people are making the Hong Kong Massacre. I don't know if they outsource some of the work to other people, but the majority of the work and the fundamentals of this game have been designed by 2 people. And again, one of them, Anders Folden, posted a very in-depth blog post on the PlayStation blog going over a lot of their goals and aspirations with the game. And I want to read you guys a snippet of what he said about the Hong Kong Massacre. Remember, this was all the way back from October of 2017. Quote, around 3 years ago, we started working on a prototype that would be the foundation of the game as it is today. When we first showed footage from our prototype, we were overwhelmed by the positive response we got from people all around the world. It encouraged us to keep working on the game while trying to improve it as much as we could. Now we want to share what we have been working on. The game is a fast-paced top-down shooter set in the city of Hong Kong, inspired by Hong Kong action movies. That's a very big point. And that's a point I've seen them reiterate over and over again based on the descriptions of the games and trailers, but let's continue on with what he said. The game lets the player engage in hard-boiled gunfights around the city in levels ranging from restaurants to building rooftops. Our initial goal was to make a simple yet fun game with inspiration from old arcade games with modern visuals. We decided from the start that we would only be 2 people working on it, me and my brother, with some external help for music and art, so there you go. The foundation of the game was done by 2 brothers, but they got a little bit of help as far as music and art is concerned. Therefore, it was important to keep the scope of the game small while we kept focus on making every aspect of the game as good as possible. The game started as a simple prototype in a top-down perspective where the player could only walk around levels and attack enemies. The first feature we added was slow motion. While holding down a button, the time would slow down and allow the player to better plan for the next action while making it easier to avoid enemy bullets. Gee, doesn't that sound like a very similar mechanic to another game? I'm pointing to Max Payne, and this game has often been compared to Max Payne, even though from a technical sense, you compare it to a game like Max Payne 3. Of course, Max Payne 3 is a little bit ahead, but based on the movement and the slow motion and how all of those mechanics are implemented, getting a lot of Max Payne vibes, and I'm saying that in the most positive way possible. It really does that element of the game justice. He continued by saying, because the player will spend a lot of time in slow motion, we made sure that everything that happens in the game, like visual effects, animations, and sound, looked and felt great while in slow motion. Also, if you're familiar with Max Payne and you're familiar with games going slow motion, a big part of that is gonna be the dive and dodge mechanic. He said that a Hong Kong action game without it would not be a proper one. With the press of a button, the player can perform a contextual dive action that includes jumping between buildings, dive through windows, or simply slide on the ground. Using this action is essential for the player to survive on a level, plus it looks pretty cool. Again, because this is inspired by Hong Kong action movies and everything like that, this is a very cinematic experience, so while the aspect of him saying it looks pretty cool, that might just be thrown out by some gamers, but you want a game like this, presentation-wise, to feel cool, to look cool, and actually be a cinematic movie, because it's taking things from movies, and I can appreciate that element of the game because not a lot of other smaller titles go for that feel. He continued by saying, with these 2 core features implemented, we felt the game loop was fun and challenging, so we moved on to the next focus area, gunfights. Of course, a Hong Kong action movie is going to have a big emphasis on gunfights, and he said, quote, taking inspiration from Hong Kong action movies, we knew that the gun action would need to look and feel as good as possible. Because guns will be fired a lot in the game, adding destruction effects and debris to all possible areas was done to get the feeling that whenever the player fires a gun, hell breaks loose. He concluded by saying, putting all that above together, we feel we have made a game that is both challenging, fun, and visually appealing, and we can't wait to get the game out for you to play. So he said all of that back in October of 2017, because I vaguely remember reading this blog post all the way back then. I was very absorbed by this game. Just the PGW 2017 trailer captivated me, but then reading more about the game, I was like, man, I really want to play the game. However, because information has been sparse for so long, you know there's so many games that are coming out, and you do forget about certain titles, but then the Hong Kong Massacre was brought to my attention once again, and then we got a launch trailer seemingly out of nowhere, and the game will be dropping on January 22nd. That is pretty incredible to me, and based on the footage that we're seeing as the game is a finished product now, it is shaping up very, very nicely. A lot of gamers are pointing to the game being a cross between Hotline Miami based on its top-down action gameplay, and then with those slow motion dodging mechanics, you definitely get some Max Payne vibes here. I don't know how you can miss out on that. But me saying it's Hotline Miami cross with Max Payne, okay, that sentence alone should get you pretty interested into this game. And I think with me saying that, that'll at least raise your interest of the Hong Kong Massacre a little bit if you didn't have any interest in this game prior. Which I think at the very least, if you saw that PGW trailer, if you've seen all of the other gameplay that has been released, because there is some gameplay up on YouTube that I would recommend you to look at, there is a lot of potential here, and best of all, we're not going to have to wait much longer to actually play the game. It's dropping January 22nd. It'll be on the PlayStation Store. I still don't have an idea on how this game is going to be priced. I think anything above $19.99 would be a little bit too high, but we'll see. I still don't know how plentiful content-wise this game is going to be. Even with the game dropping on January 22nd, they've still been a little bit quiet as to what entirely we can expect, but there was a post over at the European PlayStation blog, and they went a little bit more in-depth ahead of the January 22nd release, and they did say this, quote, a major part of the game feel was going to rely on visual effects. We truly wanted to capture the chaotic feel of gun battle, and the style of the game really begged for a lot of over-the-top effects. Early on in development, we implemented most of the basics for the visual effects. With this in mind, a lot of smoke, sparks, and big muzzle flashes would build the foundation for the overall style and feel of the game. Visual effects also play a big role in giving the gunplay that satisfying feel that we want the player to have. There's gonna be a bunch of different levels. They're touting a range of different challenges, allowing you to unlock new weapons as you progress through the game, trading bullets from restaurants to rooftops across a moody, crime-riddled city. And it does also seem like this will have some sort of story as well. It is inspired by classic action movies, but at the same time, the Hong Kong Massacre places you at the center of a hard-boiled revenge story, and it touts that it's filled with brutal cinematic shootouts and vivid underworld locations. Hong Kong Massacre is out tomorrow on January 22nd. If you don't pick it up day one, I would highly implore you, add this one to your wish list, see how the reviews turn out, and then go from there. But this is one that could turn out to be a sleeper hit for the PlayStation 4 in this early 2019 spree of video game releases. That's gonna conclude this video. Sound off with all of your thoughts in the comment section down below. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and if you're already subscribed, do us a favor and hit the bell icon. This way you'll be notified whenever we post a new video. That's the best way to keep up with all of our uploads, and we usually try to upload 2 videos a day. And with the bell icon hit, you'll be notified whenever we do upload a video. As always, thanks for watching.